Small and medium enterprises in India will definitely play a very big role over the next few years, surely. We are right now also going through a phase of growth, and the government, the new elected government at the center, also has been talking quite a bit about the growth that we will be having in manufacturing. We will be having our own indigenous manufacturing growth. We will be reducing imports. There will be import substitutions all around. So, manufacturing will have a major growth. Now, the entire manufacturing growth will not possibly be coming from the large sectors, because we do not have so many large sectors operating also, and we cannot also be dependent on large MNCs coming and investing in the market, and therefore boosting the manufacturing up. So therefore we have to depend on small and medium enterprises producing goods, industrial products, automotive, FMCG products, small and medium enterprises, not just in the manufacturing but also in the service sector. And the service sector may comprise of healthcare, may comprise of IT, ITES, or any other professional services. So in both services and manufacturing, we will definitely be having a large contribution of the SMEs coming up. The India growth story, which is right now being scripted with the participation from the center government as well as from all the state governments, will definitely have small and medium enterprises as a large integral part of that. India growth story will be poised both on manufacturing as well as on service. And we are hearing the statements from our Prime Minister and the other ministers that India's reliance on imports will have to be brought down. There have to be significant import substitution. We will manufacture goods at our end, and we will be also exporting goods from India to the other leading countries. We cannot have large players only manufacturing goods anymore today and also in the future. To really balance the needs that we have today, to make the import substitution happening to a significant manner, we need to have new players coming in, apart from the existing large players which are already there in the market. And these new players therefore have to be small. Gradually they will become medium, and thereafter they will become large. And not only in the manufacturing side, they also will be playing a large role in the services sector as well, in all kinds of professional services. It can be IT, it can be ITES, it can be financial services, it can be healthcare services, and it can be any other services, distribution of products, logistics. So, all around from manufacturing to the services, penetration of the small players into the market will definitely be a big integral part of the overall growth that the India's economy will be seeing in the next few years. But the challenge that we will now have to face and is on how do we make these SMEs succeed. What are the components that an SME will need if I or someone like me is trying to set up a business, and therefore they form a small enterprise? What are the basic things that they would really need to succeed? And therefore, we also need to make the playing fields of the SMEs conducive to them so that their successes are more ensured. We also need to help them out from the country's perspective, from the government's perspective, from the other large players who are already existing, how they can make the field on which they will be playing more helpful and conducive for their successes. So first is they need to understand what are they going to do. So to make them appropriately understand and do a proper visioning of what they are planning to do, we need to offer an appropriate landscape in front of them. If they are moving into manufacturing, then we need to make them understand that what are the manufacturing components which India today needs, what are the OEMs that will be largely be welcomed in, what are the growth potentials that those sectors may be having, what are the growth potentials in the Indian market as well as in the international market that they will be having. So they need to know. So we need to create a system by which we will have to make information available to them. And these people who will be getting in as the small players, they will therefore have to rely a very largely on the information, the authenticity, the accuracy, the availability at ease of those information to them. So that's number one. Then we have to help them in innovating, because if they get those information, then after getting those information they have to create a positioning of their product in the market, and therefore they have to innovate. They have to think of a gap which is existing in the market, which they have to fulfill by producing their products. It could be just producing whatever we already have and to compensate the shortfall, that could be one way, or to produce something new completely where there is a need felt and there is a gap. And therefore, I think it would be good if we can also help from existing large organizations, from existing consulting houses, from existing governments, various setup, to help them understanding the innovation process and to innovate the products. Even academics, the institutes and the universities need to set up small cells for allowing the small and medium enterprises in their various sectors to innovate. So the innovation is the next step after they have actually understood where the market lies. Then comes the step of operations, that how will they operate? How do they set up? Now there are a lot of policies which have now come in, which means making setting up of an organization much easier for the small and medium enterprises, though they are at a policy level, but we really have to see that from a policy, how much that has really got translated to an actionable item and how much that is being implemented, so that really on the ground they do not really face much challenge to establish and open their shop. Secondly, to run their shop, they also have to have appropriate financing, which is more from their initial establishment cost and thereafter also to maintain their operational cost. There are multiple schemes which are there, both from the government as well as from the private sectors. I mean, of course, we all know how the private equities, the venture capitalists are putting in money into the various initiatives of the small players, depending on the power of the innovation that they can show. Other than the private players, also the government is also now thinking of various mechanisms of how to put in money into the small and medium enterprises beyond the traditional setup they already have. We know there is a setup of SEED-B, there are many other government-owned small and medium enterprises funding ventures, but they are also now thinking of some more innovative participation from the government in terms of funding and financing the small and medium enterprises. But the question here is that whoever is coming to do the business, how do we make all those information appropriately available to them? So therefore, there have to be bodies who can make those information available to them. There have to be people, consultants, helping hands, aides who can really advise them, because even if they are approaching some easy available funds, they have to prepare some basic documentation, information management, their project report. They have to get some documents for the collateral. So how do we make all those things easily done for them? Then after they have started their operations, the question comes that how at a minimum cost they will be producing something or delivering something if they are in the service sector at an absolutely with an absolute excellent quality. So how do they maintain the manufacturing excellence, or how do they maintain the service excellence? And therefore, are they really procuring the best goods? Are they really deploying the best production and the service process? Are they really deploying the right talents? Are they really deploying the right governance? So one has to educate them. So after an organization is incubated, or if it is already an existing small enterprise which is already there operating in the market, but because of some issues not uh, being able to make themselves bigger, so incubated or an existing one, both will now have to focus on their operations. Now the operations had two parts. One is that how they will be operating at an excellent level. I mean, if they're manufacturing some products, then how they will be manufacturing, how their manufacturing excellence will be maintained. They will have to buy products at a lesser cost, but the best products from the market. They will have to do their production, best production at a minimum level of cost. They will have to deploy the right talent. They will have to distribute their products at a right cost for them. They will have to sell their products, market their products at a right cost for them. So all relate to two things. One is the knowledge, the know-how, and the second one is the funding. Now, this is true for anybody who is now getting incubated or anybody who is existing in the market already continuing as a small firm. Therefore, they need knowledge. I mean, somebody needs to teach them and coach them on the governance side of the company. Somebody needs to ensure that the manufacturing process is really up to the mark and their products that they're producing is all quality tested and definitely competitive at the global level. And also the processes that they're deploying are definitely the processes which is giving them the maximum efficiency. And for that, they need to possibly do from time to time their own consultation with the various bodies, with the various people, government and the other publics, other large public and the private sectors have also deployed various mechanisms of helping them out, checking their norms, checking their production style, checking their running style, supply chain operations, and giving them advices and suggestion. And they have to definitely avail of all those things in some manner. The second one is the funding. Now, the funding, as I mentioned today, there are mechanisms both from the government as well as the private equity, venture capitalists for funding the small and medium enterprises. In fact, the government funds are more, or even the private funds are more available for operations which are already in place. So, fresh startups are having a little challenge in getting the fund, but operations which are already in place, even if they are small, they are having finding it much easier to get funds compared to the one which has just been incubated. But one has to really make those sources of funds easily available to them, and they need to know where are these sources of funds. Also, there has to be an eye on how the cost is being minimized. Now, we are seeing today a lot of concepts of clustering coming in. Like, I may be producing different kinds of products, but my distribution channels could be clustered among the various small and medium enterprises so that I do not have to take on my own the entire distribution cost, which could be shared between the multiple players in an SME industry. We have seen such clusters coming up in various parts of the country. Here also in West Bengal, the government had already started to talk about 12, 13 such clusters in the various sectors where the small and medium enterprises can group together and some of their common costs can be shared. If there are same raw materials being bought for different small and medium enterprises, can they take an advantage of a volume discount by making the procurement going in a clustered form? Can the distribution happen in a clustered form? Can any of the technologies that they will be deploying, it may be IT technology that they will be deploying or maybe using, can that be operated in a clustered form in a cloud mode? So there are multiple such schemes, innovations, IT applications which are available, which can be taken up in a clustered mode, and they have to possibly be much better off if they make their shop open in an environment where there is a clustering mechanism and a clustering allowance in some manner by the government or by some quasi-government bodies out there. The cluster is going to be a big one, and we have seen the cluster model succeed in the other European countries also, where there has been some good amount of proliferation of the small and medium enterprises. And here also we have started to deploy the clustering mechanism, but the small and medium enterprises will have to take a good help of those clustering things. In terms of running the organization, it goes beyond the manufacturing and the distribution of the products and services also in running the organization appropriately. I mean, so that they are not subjected to any kinds of unwanted uh, non-compliance to the standard Companies Act procedures or the governance part, because we are presuming that the small and medium enterprises owners and the promoters will be more focused on their business than really being aware of the complete paraphernalia of running a business that surrounds a corporate here in India. So there are bodies which are available which can help them out on really making them compliant to all these various governance thing, for which they also need not take the entire cost on their own. But it is very critical for the smaller medium enterprises that not to really start operating without paying any importance or heed to the various statutes, norms, governance which are in place in the country. And if they are working on exports, if they are producing goods or services which need to be exported, then they also have to comply with many of the country's obligations and rules to whom they are also exporting. So there is no room for them to make any mistakes on the governance side, which they have to really consider, because there have been examples of many small and medium enterprises who have been producing good products, who have been doing well, but because of some slippages, because of some non-compliances, the penalty has been so huge that they have to either close the company, or they have to really take a massive hit on their operations, and that should not happen. Also, there are now plenty of government policies in giving the protection to the small and medium enterprises in terms of the creditors, in terms of their line of credit, in terms of their supplying to the large bodies. There are rules which are forcing these big bodies to make the payments to the small and medium enterprises within a stipulated timeline. Similarly, when they are procuring goods from any large companies, their line of credit could be extended far beyond than the standard normal line of credit being extended to other larger enterprises. And these are some of the rules and regulations which any of the supplier or any of the buyer from the small and medium enterprises will have to adhere to. But they need to know of all those rules. There are central government-owned small and medium enterprises policies which are very much in operations now. There are state-driven small and medium enterprises on top of those center-driven small and medium enterprises policies, which are also in operations and and can be easily availed. So they have to be quite well aware of that, and they can always definitely take advantages of that. So therefore, my suggestions for all small and medium enterprises is that the ecosystem around them is very supportive right now. Funding, legal, corporate governance, compliances, all the is very supportive. The country's economy today is also very supportive. It's in a growth mode. Import substitution is something with the government themselves are really talking of. So very conducive situation. Funding is available, but one really needs to know where the funding is available, how can we avail that. What they really need to bring to the table today, in addition to this conducive support system which they are getting, is that their thoughts, their focus, their commitment, their innovation, and a huge degree of patience. Because they may not be able to succeed from the day one. There may be number of challenges, and challenges can vary from state to state, from product to product, from kind of talents they are going to deploy. On multiple matters, the challenges can vary, but there would be challenges. It will definitely not be a very easy growth story. But many I have seen who, because of the lack of patience, because of the lack of the resilience, because of the lack of the determination to confront the challenges and the issues which are coming up, do fold it up and do give up this entrepreneurial skill and try to go back to employment, try to go back to some safety and cushion under the big banner of the large enterprises. So therefore, in this conducive system, one really needs to show some degrees of innovation, some degrees of patience, and have to appropriately act complying to the country's rules. And I think there is a huge potential opportunity for small and medium enterprises now.
Can we talk about one or two examples that they can look at how let us say this is going to be unveiled in a place where there will be a lot of SMEs in the manufacturing space.
Examples are we had textile cluster in down south. So there is a good textile cluster which was operating in down south, which one really can take a look into. in West Bengal, they should be immediately getting into the acquisition of information and knowledge on the 12 or 13, I cannot exactly recollect, the small and medium enterprises which the government has mentioned that they would like to promote individually or in a cluster form. So that's the second one if somebody is promoting it in West Bengal. Then there had been small and medium enterprises clusters, or if not in a proper cluster manner, even in a standalone manner in the auto products in the Chennai. So that's a good example to pick up on the Chennai side, that in the automotive products, which we felt would get a huge boost if the nano happened here, but because of various circumstances it didn't happen. But that is definitely something where we can look into, and Chennai is a good example. There is a jewelry small and medium enterprises cluster, non-cluster in West, where people from Bengal are actually working a lot. So there is a good amount of small and medium enterprises flourishing in West, in Maharashtra and in Gujarat in the jewelry side. Agriculture, agriculture related products, seeds, food products are another big sector which I think in small and medium enterprises which is coming up, starting from pickles to all other foods that we consume on our lunch table or dinner table. Agriculture, pisciculture and floriculture, these are the three things which in under the small and medium enterprises definition would definitely be a good example to pick up and will flourish. And of course, in the service sector, we all know IT and various flavors of IT are always there, succeeding, failing as well. But opportunities are very much there. IT is always a good example. There are multiple examples of online retailing, e-tailing, online selling of products, online selling of concepts, which starting from a small and medium has jumped into a big one. We have seen the Flipkart example in the market, which started very small. So these are on the IT, ITS sectors that we are seeing. We are also seeing a huge proliferation of small and medium enterprises coming in the professional healthcare services, in the hospitals, in the hospital related products and services. And the other one in the small and medium enterprises is also in education and training, in the vocational training, in building up of any kinds of skills. The National Skill Development Corporation is promoting very significantly, hugely, enormously any initiative which is related to the skill development, which has an employability, they're promoting that. So that's another example which one really can pick up.